Okay, very good. Welcome to the Lunenburg Conservation Commission meeting of September 4th. In accordance with the requirements, and I have to start my recording as well. Many things I have to click before this thing starts. Welcome to the Lunenburg Conservation Commission of September 4th. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Meetings Law, please be advised that this meeting is being audio and video recorded. The agenda lists all of the topics that may be discussed in the meeting and those that are reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. Please address all comments to the chair. This meeting of the Conservation Commission will be held by Zoom at the link provided in this notice. For anybody who may be joining via live broadcast, I would encourage you to go to the agenda as posted on the town calendar and click on the link there. Makes it very easy. And for anyone that may want to otherwise join, the meeting ID is 853-4264-2102. Okay, I'm going to start out with a roll call vote. Jenny Putherer?
Present.
Rich Bursch?
Present.
Jeff Viviano?
Present.
Mike LaRouche?
Present.
Chris St. Germain?
Present.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have any announcements by members of the commission? Okay, I'm not hearing any. And then we have some time here for public comment. Comments are to be limited to 3 minutes and on a subject matter under the direct jurisdiction of the commission. Comments about current agenda items are to be made during the comment period of those specific agenda items. And please address all comments to the chair. For members of the public that wish to speak in Zoom, we have these handy dandy icons, and depending on your platform, it may show up as reactions or raise hand. And so I would encourage you to look in your Zoom interface, either at the top or at the bottom of the window pane, and use those to get my attention if you want to speak up or share. And then for members of the public too, please state your name and address during any public comment period. Not seeing anyone raise their hand for public comments. We do have meeting minutes from August 21st. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Rich Bursch.
Thank you. Thank you, Rich. Second?
Second, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Roll call vote. Mike?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
Jenny?
Aye.
And I for myself. Okay, Sophie, have we had any requests for continuance that aren't captured in the meeting agenda?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. We have no new public hearings. So we will dive right into the continued public hearings. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, and the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a request for determination of applicability by Justin Rapucci for the proposal of a driveway replacement with grading along the sewer connection to a town sewer line, which is located within the buffer zone of a bordering vegetated wetland and intermittent stream at 1147 Mass Ave. Do we have Justin and or his representative here with us tonight?
Yes, you do. Bob Proctor, 99 Pleasant Street. We have, I believe you have a new revised plan with measurements for everything that we were proposing, which you requested at the last meeting.
Yes, and Sophie, could you share that for us? Or could, Bob, I think you said you couldn't. Justin, could you?
I cannot.
Okay, very good.
So as you can see, the length of the berm, the plus or minus the size of the driveway, where we're requesting to fill, and the drainage ditch, and the distances from the berm and the wattles from the berm to the ditch. And this was at the 75 feet to the wetlands was the last time when Sophia was out there that we kind of looked and said that looks like it was possibly the distance.
Okay. Thank you, Sophia. Also the dimensions there are also consistent with your walk, yes?
Yes, those seem pretty accurate.
Okay, very good. Do we have questions or comments from members of the commission? That was the only action that I had captured from my notes last time on this project, was adding the dimensions. So I'm satisfied with that. So I think I'm looking for a motion here.
Chris, move to approve.
Second?
Okay, roll call vote. Mike,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Rich, Rich, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Aye.
Jenny?
Aye.
And I for myself, so the language here is, we approve with a, actually called a negative determination, in that you're determined that you're not making a change to the wetland area. So, very good, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, moving along.
Thank you.
Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, and the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation by Kevin O'Brien at 390 Howard Street, DP number 2081304. Do we have Mr. O'Brien and or the representative on the call tonight?
This is Chuck Karen. Kevin has me working on getting everything reflagged out there.
Oh, okay.
I thought Kevin was going to be on. I was on for something else. Basically,
Yeah, I thought they had actually specifically requested to be on this agenda, so I'm surprised they're not here.
well, I could give you an update on where we stand. I've been working
That
on.
would be great.
Yeah, I've been working on getting through Art Allen's comments and areas he thought where the wetlands had expanded due to the, I think it's a combination of the decommissioning of the chicken farm way back, and then the the construction activity that took place. So I'm probably close to halfway through his list of areas to cover. It's been kind of slow going, just trying to find the spots where he identified with the vegetation so thick right now has been challenging in of itself. But basically I am anticipating having that all wrapped up probably the week after next. And, then we could get it over to Art to look at again. So I'm thinking, I would hope that by your first meeting in October, we should have everything on my end and Art's end wrapped up, so proceed with it.
Okay, that first meeting in October is October 2nd.
Okay.
October 2nd. Do we have any questions from members of the commission? I'm seeing none. Any questions or comments from members of the public? Okay, then I'm looking for a motion to continue this hearing to October 2nd.
So moved, Mike?
Second,
you, Mike.
Rich.
Thank you, Rich. Roll call vote. Jenny,
aye,
Rich,
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
and I for myself. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I believe our next hearing is already, yeah, that one's already, it's not due until the 18th. So done with hearings tonight. And then we'll move into administrative determinations. Sophia, 160 Sunset Lane.
yeah, I was just pulling up my notes on that. Okay, so this one has some trees that I believe could be removed. I do believe that others should remain as they're not really posing a major hazard or risk to public safety or to any structures. So those should be left alone because they are essential for resource areas and wetland buffer.
What was the request?
This request would be tree removal. Believe it was between 5 and 7 trees, but I can pull up the actual diagram.
That would be great.
I'll share that if that's okay.
That would be great.
So here is, Lake Shirley. There's a couple of different deck structures and then the dock over here. As you can see by the diagram, there are some trees that are very close by. And then there are some trees that are actually a lot further away. I mean, they do look further away, more of a distance on the diagram as opposed to in person. However, they're still far enough away as I do not think they would pose any risk to damaging any of the structures, such as these.
Are they dead or dying, or what? Why did they want to remove them?
A couple of them were somewhat unhealthy. Let me try to find the other pictures. How do we do this without exiting? So here's a better description. So there are a couple of trees here, and then that one down here that are relatively healthy. And this is another really good view. The 2 trees that are very close to the water off to the left side of this canoe. Um, and then the tree here, one of the closer ones, is not healthy, so it could pose a risk, but the way the trunk is leaning is kind of in this direction. So if anything, it would probably fall towards the water or on the stairs here. And then this is the same exact tree I was pointing to earlier. Clearly it's being kind of shaded out by the other healthier trees around it. I can see one of the trees that are marked here, and then the two other smaller ones to the left of the canoe or kayak over there, pretty much far away from the structure. And there's other trees between the structure and those trees, the proposed trees to be taken down. So if they were to fall, it would be in the water or against these other trees that are next to them.
And are those other trees unhealthy? Looks like some of them are dead.
Well, you can't really tell from this photo because it's not showing the canopy. But it's pretty much dead. This is
That's the same tree.
yes. And then here's just another angle here. And then this is the other tree that was close to the steps. And this one close to the steps that has a private property sign. And that's the other one, the first one, just a different angle. So I completely understand the concern with the three here that are could be posing risk to what they have set up here on the edge of the lake.
Why don't we go back to the diagram, and I think I'm clear on what is requested and why. Let's go back to the diagram. Which ones, and show me on the diagram which ones you think we should allow them to remove, and which ones you think should remain.
I believe these three should remain.
Okay. And then the other three.
These three, I would suggest removal. If at all removal, leaving some sort of snag, not all the way down to the root system.
Okay.
And I will note that this is a very, very shaded area. And they did also have concerns about erosion happening. And they mentioned something about planting blueberry bushes as well. So that was something that they brought up too, just kind of in passing with this submission. But I do have a concern about how shaded it actually is and how to start kind of any vegetation, young vegetation. I know wild blueberry doesn't require too much sunlight, but usually you find that along the banks where the sun actually hits. But on this, if you were looking at Lake Shirley, the sun is gonna come this way if you follow my cursor.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how that would work out, but they do want to address the erosion going on here.
So where's the erosion happening?
It starts right here along where the road is, right on the curb, and it kind of runs like this. And somewhat underneath the stairs and the decking. It's a pretty steep area, and it is a lot of bare soil.
And so are they proposing to, I mean, they don't have the blueberries drawn in the area that you described the erosion happening. So I'm wondering how they would help.
Well, the way that this is drawn, it's not completely accurate. it's very close.
It's representative.
Plus, yeah, and plus the blueberry bushes, if they were to be successful, the root system would expand eventually and take over those areas. I don't believe it has to be in the exact spot that the erosion is happening. As long as there's some sort of root system or added root support holding the soil, that would be helpful in the general vicinity. I see Rich has his hand up.
I was going to let you finish before I called on him. Rich?
That's all right.
Rich, I'll let you ask questions
All
and
righty.
comments.
So yeah, I do have a comment. And I know Mike was on, and I believe Jeff may have been on when this project came before us initially. And there is a huge grade change from the road to the lake bed or the lake edge. It was not an area, in my opinion, that ever should have been developed. And we do need to take any erosion on this parcel very seriously. It's a gravel esker. Once we lose the vegetation and we start getting the erosion without extreme planting, this will be a perpetual problem and eventually could wash out Sunset Lane. So I think that any spots that are void of plants should immediately be revegetated. Maybe bearberry or some other gravelly drought tolerant plant be started. And we should probably, it might be a little extreme, but actually put this under enforcement order to ensure that it gets vegetated again properly, especially where they're losing vegetation under the developed deck, stairs, and walkways. So again, this was one of my big concerns, and I definitely voted no on all of these projects here on Sunset Lane, and this is the beginning of it right now. We should make sure that any trees that are removed are replaced at least 3 for 1 to ensure that we get something revegetated in the area. Unfortunately, they're going to have to be smaller whip plants so that we can get them into the ground so that they will take. But we definitely want to take this seriously, especially where Sophie has noted now that there is erosion problems on the property. So I think we should at least start with the applicant hiring a design firm, a landscape firm, to come up with a palette of plant material to revegetate this. And again, revegetate at an extreme rate, not just a standard one plant every 6 or 8 square feet as they do come before us, to make sure that we do stop this erosion in its tracks, or it will be a perpetual problem.
So Rich, I was capturing your trying to capture notes as you were talking. So you were proposing that all trees that are removed be replaced 3 to 1.
Yep.
With smaller whips so they can go in the ground, and then erosion treated aggressively with possibly a designer to provide a palette of plants that would I guess go native quickly.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. And they don't have to go back in the same exact spots, but we want to make sure that we plant enough plant material that it does guarantee that some of it will take. So like I
Yeah.
say, once the erosion starts, it is just going to get worse and worse, because the vegetation without some aggressive planting will never just retake in those areas that are starting to erode now, because it is just a loose gravel, which will just continually erode.
Yeah. Thank you, Rich. Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, as you guys are aware, I live right down the street. I'm very familiar with this area. You know, I've been on the lake for most of my life. And I think that erosion that is occurring is from previously not having access like they have now. And they were just kind of walking down the bank and they're kind of hanging out on the bank. But now that they have a place to kind of congregate and have access down to a boat, you know, they live up the street. If you remember, their house burned down a few years ago. It was terrible, but It's finally almost done. So that erosion was occurring before this build. And I agree with Rich that, something should be done to control that erosion that is occurring, but it's been going on for years over there. And I think now that we're allowing them to have this type of opportunity to have like stairs and a small deck area and a dock, it's going to keep them off of that slope. And it hopefully it will recover, but I think as far as the tree removal, they're a lot of these trees seem like they're dead, and there's a lot of smaller trees in that area that look like they'd probably do pretty well. So I think 3-1 might be a little bit steep for trees that are dead or dying and just kind of nature taking its course. I don't think those trees dying are from any kind of erosion or anything, but I think if they revegetate those erosion areas that's really been occurring over years, hopefully that'll take, and then these areas will start to kind of firm themselves up, and then there won't be that risk to sunset in many years to come, having issues with the road washing out or something like that. So
Thank you, Jeff.
That's-
Rich can correct me if I'm misunderstood, but I thought the point of the 3-1 replacements was with the understanding that probably a couple of them just wouldn't survive, and to give us a chance of at least one of them taking root.
oh, and those were 3-1. I guess bushes instead of trees. Okay, so that was my mistake. I apologize. Yep.
No, it would have been 3-1, either trees or large growing small tree or large growing shrubs or small trees. And whips are, I mean, definitely much less expensive than trying to buy nursery grown container trees. You can go online and buy, whips for, maybe $75 a dozen. And that way there, you're not digging much of a hole to get the tree back or the whip back in the ground. I wouldn't recommend going and grabbing 5, 10 or 15 gallon trees to try to replace these. You're going to be spending a couple $100 a tree, and the chances of them contributing to the erosion after you've tried to dig the hole to plant the tree is going to be far greater. So as far as overall cost to put the whips back in, I think it's probably less expensive, but definitely gives a much greater chance that we'll have vegetation rooting back in there to keep holding the banking. So we just want to make sure, again, extreme planting, put as much as we can in there to make sure we get as much as possible to take root as fast as possible.
Thank you for that clarification, Rich. And Jeff, you have your hand raised
Yeah,
again.
and as far as the dead trees, I agree with Sophie on the ones that she said should remove. I mean, I don't have a problem with them taking the dead trees out as a matter of either a safety hazard, or when the trees do fall at some point, the erosion will be even worse because they'll tear up some of the banking. So we do want to try to eliminate the chance of them falling over and ripping the banking up and uprooting the stumps.
So Jeff, you had further comment?
No, I think Rich kind of summed it up. Yeah, pretty much the same that he had said there. So
Okay, very good. Chris?
Yeah, I'm focusing on, the goal here is to preserve the edge of the edge of the water line. And I think some smaller bushes should be our focus. Obviously trees for a long term, but I think I'm just echoing what Jeff and Rich are saying, is I think some whips and some other type low bushes would be more impactful to get that, to keep the property in, keep the erosion minimal or repair it.
Okay, thank you. And with the proposal to treat the erosion areas aggressively, Rich, I heard you say, we should compel them to get work with a landscape designer to get a palette of natives so they would naturalize quickly. Is that something other commissioners are also considering here? well, nobody's saying, Mike, thank you.
Yes, I agree that we should get a designer in there to maximize, how much more vegetation we can get in there. And I'm assuming that if we allow the 3 trees to get cut, the roots are staying in the ground, correct? They're not taking those roots out.
I think we can specify that.
Okay, I would like to, just because it will unstabilize, the embankment that's already being compromised to begin with. So I would go along with what Rich has proposed, and it sounds like not a lot of money to make it happen. So I like that whole notion about getting some maximizing the vegetation for small dollars and saving that part of the embankment.
So I have what I think is forming up to be a proposal is that 3 trees that are closest to the dock would be allowed to be removed with the root balls staying intact. The 3 trees farthest away from the dock, we would not allow the removal of those. For the trees that are being removed, replacement 3-to-1 with whips. And then in the area of erosion, for them to come back with a landscape designer plan or at least palette of natives so they would naturalize quickly. Or Jeff, I was reading and didn't see your hand up. And your hand went down. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No,
I
that's
muted
okay.
myself when could we see pictures of those 3 trees again that were over in the corner?
Sure.
Sophie, sorry to bother you again.
So you can see them a little bit right here with the
Yep.
pink
Okay.
pink tape.
Was there a picture from the water that showed those?
Not that I recall.
Okay, so those are the 3 trees by the dock area?
This photo isn't my photo.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not quite sure what that one is. I might,
Because
if you're looking for other photos, I don't have any photos from like the dock area of these trees specifically.
okay. All right, I thought that last picture was pictures of those other 3 trees by the, at least it appears to be. Yeah, those trees there, which look,
This one looks like the smaller one. If it is
Yeah, I mean,
facing the road. But it does look like the water in the background here. In the bottom.
oh, you're right, yeah. Okay.
And the sun's on that side. You can see the trees through the.
Okay. Yeah, the sun actually sets almost directly where you're looking in this picture. So that's looking west.
Okay, so I think I'm looking for either rebuttal on the proposed conditions or a motion to approve with those conditions. Well, gosh, Rich, I think they were your conditions. You're not even willing to motion that? Rich is on mute.
Yeah, something wrong with my mouse. I can't unmute. I'm sorry, then I stepped away. What was the question?
I had asked if anybody was willing to motion on those conditions that you had proposed, or actually propose alternate conditions.
Honestly, myself, I would continue until such time as they presented a little bit more detailed plan on the erosion control and the replacement whips of the trees they're taking out.
Okay, fair enough.
So I would make a motion to continue
Second,
and continue to the 18th, the next meeting.
18th. And who said second? Was Mike? You okay? All right, roll call vote. Jenny,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Mike,
aye.
Rich,
Aye.
and I for myself. Okay, so what we want to get out of the next meeting, hopefully, is the applicants with some type of replanting plan for natives that will renaturalize quickly. Very good. Moving along. 24 Brookview Terrace. Sophie?
Yes, 24 Brookview Terrace. For this one, they wanted to remove 3 of some very large, very large pine trees that are almost in a cluster. And they're beyond dead and probably 10 feet or 12 feet from the house or cabin. And they want to remove those. And I believe that they could be a risk to falling on the dwelling. So I would move to approve the removal of those trees, but leaving the stumps intact, since it is still fairly close to the resource area.
How far away is it from the resource area?
That is a good question. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Within the 30 or outside of the 30?
Outside the 30.
Okay, so outside the 30, but within the 50?
Correct.
Okay, I think that's the granularity we probably needed to understand.
Okay.
Do we have any questions or comments for Sophie? I think I'm looking for a motion to accept Sophie's recommendation.
Chris.
So moved.
To accept.
Okay,
Second
Jeff
by
got it
Jeff.
out before you. Chris for second. All right. Not really supposed to be a race, but sometimes we end up there. Okay. Roll call vote, Mike,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Jenny,
Aye.
Rich,
Aye.
and I for myself. Okay, moving along. Certificates of compliance, 39 Main Street.
39 Main Street. This is fairly straightforward one. All the vegetation was stabilized, and I had no major concerns, even though the area was very up gradient from the wetland. I checked over the side of the erosion controls and made sure there was no erosion going on there. So I would approve that COC.
Any questions from members of the commission? Looking for a motion?
So moved.
Second, Chris.
Thank you. Roll call vote. Mike,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Jenny,
Aye.
Rich,
Aye.
and I for myself. Very good. 71 Watt Street, Lot 6. Sophie,
So this one actually should be documented as 17 Watt Street, Lot 6. I think the original whole area was 71, but regardless, it should be 17, just for the record. So this should be approved as well because the area has been stabilized entirely and the detention basin has the appropriate species growing in and around it in proximity. So again, approve this one as well.
okay, thank you, Sophie. Any questions from members of the commission?
Sophie, are you referring to the retention pond that they have, the little, is that what you're referring to as having the right species?
Yeah, it's a very small little pond area. I couldn't see any standing water in it, but it had a large amount of like cattails and whatnot.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I was just looking it up on the tax GIS map. I'm looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Richard.
Second.
Second.
Yeah, I heard Rich and I heard Mike. Roll call vote. Mike,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Jenny,
Aye.
Rich,
Aye.
and I for myself. 441 Townsend Harbor Road.
This COC included a basic, straightforward septic replacement and related work, and so I would approve this one because it was fully established with full grass and no other notes on that.
Okay. Any questions by members of the commission? Looking for a motion to approve.
So moved. Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Second, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Roll call vote. Mike,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Jenny,
Aye.
Rich,
Aye.
and I for myself. Okay, moving on down the agenda. Notice of project change, 10 Sunset Ave. Sophie, is this one that you're going to talk us through, or do we have the applicants here to discuss this?
There should be, I think
Hang
Ryan.
on just a second. Jenny raised her hand. Jenny,
This is my house, so I think I have to recuse myself for this one.
okay. All right, that's noted. Okay, Ryan Proctor, you're here as a representative of the applicant.
I am.
Okay.
Would it be all right if I shared my screen?
Yes.
Great. All right, thank you for your time tonight. Ryan Proctor, Dillis and Roy, representing Jenny Puther and Jack Sheehan, their project at 10 Sunset Ave. This project was approved by the commission back in December of 2023. I believe it was approved during a transition period in the conservation office. So an order of conditions has not actually been issued for this site yet. Jenny and I were talking about that, and while we were having conversation about that, we were discussing some site changes, which have been what has been submitted to you now. So we're hoping to reflect these changes upon the issuance of the new order of conditions, and that this plan, should you find it approvable, would be submitted to DEP and tied into the order of conditions once it's issued. The proposed project, just as a quick refresher, was the replacement of 2 deteriorating and failing retaining walls along the shoreline of Lake Whalum. There's a tiered system. Pull over to a profile here, where we have a wall right along the edge of the lake. There was an existing deck and then an upper patio level before leading to an upper lawn area. The project is still to replace those 2 retaining walls. We do intend to modify the lower patio area. Originally, we had it spanning a majority of the bottom portion on that first tier. And we had some recessed stairs to access that upper portion of the site. Instead of installing those stairs in the middle of the retaining wall, which was proving to be difficult from a construction standpoint, we are now proposing to shift this paver patio from the north portion of the site and then create an access point where there are some existing concrete stairs and a pathway along the south side of the retaining wall. We'd install some stairs, expand that patio, connect to where the previously approved patio was, and then we'd modify the landscape area to accommodate that shift. So we'd be pulling the patio down and then expanding the proposed landscape area that was previously approved. Those are the hardscape changes. In addition to those, we had an original proposed planting schedule. Jenny had actually provided me with a list, which in my cover letter to your commission, when I submitted these materials, I included it as an appendix. So I won't go line by line, but there's a pretty extensive list of native plantings that they intend to choose from, not just for the area around the shoreline and around the patios, but for other portions of the site up around the house and on the upland portion of the house as well. So those are the only changes. If there are any questions on that, I'd be happy to take them. And Jenny could answer questions too, I'm sure.
I don't have any questions. Do we have any questions or comments from members of the commission? And I am not seeing any. Do we have any comments from members of the public? And I'm not seeing any. So with that, I think I'm looking for a motion to approve the changes as presented.
So moved, Mike?
Thank you, Mike.
Second, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. Roll call vote, Rich.
Aye.
Rich is muted. There we go. There's Rich. Jeff.
Aye.
Chris.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
And I for myself.
Good. Thank you very much.
Changes as presented. Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to enforcements, violations. Do we have any updates there, Sophie?
I do have one, and that would be Howard Street. So I was in correspondence with the applicant's representative, Matt, and we were discussing some erosion control or erosion and sedimentation issues on the site. That was brought to our attention when we did our initial site visit with Ecotech, the third party. And so they were instructed to reestablish the erosion controls by our office, and Ecotech made that suggestion as well. So I went out on site and went to look for the erosion controls, made sure they were established, and were putting a stop to the sedimentation that was going on within a couple of different locations where wetlands were. And so I found 3 erosion controls established to the east of the parcel. However, as I moved to the west side of the parcel, there seemed to be increased erosion issues since the last visit when we all went out. I know Mary, you were there. I think Bob Peace was there as well. There were issues over there. They've been drastically increased over time. So the riprap is not holding. It's bypassing the riprap, and it's almost like small crevasse running through that side of the property. It's probably grown 2 times the size that it was before. And as you may recall, there is an intermittent stream in which crosses that area, and there's the beginning of a wetland starting on that area as well. So that was concerning, and I don't think erosion controls or wattles or silt fencing would stop that. I think it would be maybe a combination of riprap and lots of it. Nothing is really working on that side of the parcel, and it's concerning.
Well, there some steep slopes over there, as I recall, and a lot
Right.
of diggings happened. So there's been a lot of vegetation removed that would otherwise slow down the velocity of the water.
Right. I did take updated pictures on my site visit.
Do you have those to show?
I do. Would you like me to show them?
Yeah, that would be great.
This is hard to maneuver.
And have you had an opportunity while you're going to navigate to the photos? Have you had an opportunity to talk to the applicants about their failure to install additional erosion control on the western side?
I have not.
So I think these were the ones you said were on the east.
Correct. Yeah, these are the ones that were installed on the east of the property. So when you first drive in and you kind of go to the right, and this is when I started to walk down. I wasn't about to drive my little Ford Focus down there, so I basically walked all the way down. But starting up here, you can see that it already started way up at the top of the property and just started to go all the way down. There are some riprap areas, but water is completely bypassing it. And I know the intent was to kind of catch the water here, but there's just too much velocity. It starts trickling here as well, which is the opposite side of those kind of barricade boulders. And that's the start of it. You can tell it's fresh sediment. And this was on a dry day. And that's the beginning of it. And I did have to go down and check to make sure. I didn't know whether it was actual rock being kind of smoothed out by water flow, but it seemed to just be hardened sediment or clay. In some spots, if I were to stand in it, it would be, the level of this would be probably to my chest or chin.
Just to give me an orientation, is this paralleling Howard Street, this runoff, or is it going towards the Northwest Forest? Where is this heading? This one?
I would have to pull up like a map, a mass mapper or something.
That's okay.
It is flowing. I believe it is flowing towards the road. It would be perpendicular.
Okay.
This is the intermittent stream that we found, I believe, and then this is where that water is flowing down. And it just gets steeper and steeper as it travels towards, I guess,
Sure.
the Howard Street. And I believe that's one of the other erosion controls back in the beginning. And that's it.
So, Chris, you were just asking about the photos. The parcel, this is the last plan that I guess the had been actually approved for subdivision. And so
Yes.
you enter the property here, right? And this is the great big kind of cleared area. The erosion control, as I understand it, that Sophie showed is over in this area. Sophie, is that right?
Yes, that seems right.
Okay.
Yep.
And then you go down, it looks like this street has been cleared and there's massive erosion going down here. And then Sophie, where were those boulders? Were those boulders somewhere in this area?
Yep, right there. I would
Okay.
say right where your mouse is.
Yeah. And then when I went on the site walk, the first time I went, there was a lot of sedimentation and a massive pit here, and there was a berm here.
Mhm.
Then the second time I went out, they had really excavated that pit area so it could hold more water. And then down this area, this roadway that had been cleared, that's where, Sophie, I think those ditches were that you were showing us. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So then this, I think, is that intermittent stream that
Mhm.
comes in. It used to go like this, but now I think it's been diverted and comes down this way before it pops back down. Is that still true, or am I misremembering it?
It's, I think it's actually, yeah, I think it crosses a little bit further up than where is depicted on this.
That's the way it was last time we were out there. It seemed like it was crossing somewhere up in here
Mm-hmm.
and then
Yeah.
running down that, getting captured by that ditch and getting pushed down that way.
I would agree, unless there was another intermittent stream that we
Yeah,
didn't
that's also
cross.
possible.
It could be two.
Yeah. So Chris, does that get you oriented?
Yeah, yes. I don't know if this is the right place, but I guess I need to ask questions. As I know it, he's in the process of building a development, correct? So,
Correct.
so he obviously he has to do some things before he has all this infrastructure up. I imagine he's gonna have, if it was a done project, he would have, catch basins and culverts and I imagine things to address these issues, but the problem is he's in process, so he's got himself in a position where he's violating the wetlands, so he's got to do something temporary until the permanent solution's done. Just trying to get an understanding of what we're going to, how
I
we're
don't
going to proceed on this.
I don't know that he actually has the full green light to proceed on the development. I think there've been some zoning issues that have been getting in his way. Somebody else may have more current information than me, but I think that's why this has been stalled for so long. But with regard to the Wetlands Protection Act and the municipal regulations, he's not allowed to violate the wetlands that are there, and he's not allowed to allow sedimentation into the wetlands that are there, nor is he allowed to allow sedimentation to escape, his property via this resource area.
So regardless
and
of
to
his,
flow
so
downstream.
regardless of his final objective, he needs to address these wetlands issues now.
Yes. That's my understanding of what the regulations compel us to do. Happy to hear somebody else's viewpoint on that.
I may be wrong, but I don't think he has any permits to proceed with his development. I thought he was starting with us, came before us for a resource area delineation and basically put his 10-year-old plan in front of us and said, is this still valid? At which point we've been going back and forth and trying to delineate the wetlands on the property. He has been working on the property in the areas outside of the wetland as far as taking out the old chicken facility that was there and moving dirt around and things like that. But I didn't think he had a permit to move forward with any of the subdivision site development. But I
Yeah,
could be wrong on that.
you may be accurate in that assessment. A lot of the ANRAD has was proposed during my time, but everything before that was proposed before my time here on the commission.
So it sounds to me that we need to let him know that he's in violation. From what those pictures are pretty concerning.
I think according to Sophie, he was already, and Sophie, let's be clear, was he given a recommendation by Ecotech to reinstall the erosion controls? Has our office actually told him he must reinstall them,
So
for your knowledge?
yeah, Ecotech wrote up kind of a summary of their visit, and they included their concern about having the erosion controls put in because of sedimentation, as well as my own notes during that visit. And so I reached out to the applicant's representative and instructed them to do so. It was through an email, and it was not sent a certified letter.
Well, an email is still a paper trail.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to, in terms of procedure, as we escalate to violation and potentially enforcement, do we need to send a certified letter? Is that the appropriate next step?
I think it would be best to send a certified letter of violation notice, and see what happens with that, if anything can be addressed. If I could give or the commission can come up with a deadline for those items to be addressed, and if it's not addressed, we could move on to enforcement order. But that's where I'd recommend to start.
It sounds reasonable to me. Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, with the size of this project and the erosion that has happened and the work that needs to be done, I mean, is there any way to escalate this to like Massachusetts DEP? I mean, this just seems like a lot of work for a town commission to take over a project this size. I mean, this could take up a lot of Sophie's time alone, just this one project. So, I mean, is there any way to escalate this up the ranks, or is that not an option?
It's a great question. Sophie, do you have a knowledge about that?
I know that there is an entity higher than us that is aware of this situation, or was once made aware. It might have been the EPA. The stormwater was really what they were looking at. But regardless, I can try to figure out who already is aware of this, And if there isn't anybody actively on this, then I could see if I could escalate it to that extent.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just need some bigger guns and better manpower to take care of this problem. It's just getting worse and worse every time we look at it, and something needs to be done. You know, whether it's, you know, a stormwater plan before anything else goes on there. I mean, it's really just starting to get out of control, and I think it's, you know, bordering out of our control. That's a ton of work that needs to be completed over there.
So I think it makes sense to, so I know the EPA has been involved, there. But I thought also that it was stormwater, concerns and, material moving off of the property. That's what I thought. But I don't 100% trust my memory. I do know it was the EPA's involvement. Yeah, and I think it makes sense to, for Sophie to have a conversation with, maybe Mia about this as well. But to be clear, Jeff, are you saying we should delay and go research first, or perhaps could we do the certified letter and get the clock ticking on corrective actions and then determine if we can hand off to a higher power?
No, I don't think it makes sense to delay. I was just
Yeah,
saying that,
okay,
you know, this is a massive undertaking,
agreed.
and it's
Yeah.
going to be a lot of work for Sophie and us to kind of just site walks alone and going through this whole project and having to, I mean, there's so many wetlands that have developed over there since this project started that everything has changed so much, and it changes month by month now, not year by year, and it's just getting out of control.
Agreed. Rich, have you ever been through one as big as this before? Do you have any recommendations for Sophie about management or working with DEP or other agencies with regard to it?
Well, I guess just a couple quick questions. So they were instructed to reestablish erosion controls?
That's correct.
Okay, in writing or verbally?
In writing.
Okay. And did
Email,
you
I
send
think
it
Sophie said.
certified?
No, she said email.
Email.
Okay. Did they respond?
It was a lot of back and forth. The applicant's representative was deferring me to talk to or get in touch with the applicant, and I was sending emails and I didn't get a response, and then the applicant walked in to my office and verbally gave me confirmation that I can go out and check the installed erosion controls.
And are they in place?
Some of them are.
Okay, so they have not complied with the order?
Yeah, I would agree with that statement.
Okay, so Madam Chair, at this point, I'd make a motion that we issue a violation notice of $300 per day until such time as the controls are put back in place and approved by the office.
I mean, they have pretty deep pockets. How's 500 a day?
We can only do up to 300 in our bylaw.
Yeah.
So we can do it
Okay.
every day until so what is required is you have to send them a new violation notice every day. So you have to write out the violation book. And you have to write a new one and mail it to them every day. But I would make that motion to at least get started on the violation clock ticking. And see if that gets them in before for the next meeting on the 18th, and maybe get the erosion protection in place.
Okay, and Rich, in terms of educate me too, in terms of an email to which they have acknowledged by response versus certified letter, you know, feel like there's any issue there?
No, because it sounds like Sophie talked to the applicant directly. He walked into the office during all of this. His agent knows about it. Then let him argue that he wasn't notified. And he has to do it in Superior Court.
And Sophia, so that I'm clear, was it the agent that walked into the office or the applicant themselves?
The applicant.
Okay, very good. Okay, I think I'm looking for somebody to second Rich's motion.
Chris,
Second that.
Okay, I heard Chris first. Roll call vote, Mike,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Jenny, is this one you can vote on?
Oh, actually, I can't.
No.
No, I didn't think so. Okay. Rich
I,
and I for myself. Okay,
and then the only other thing, and I can try to get up there in the next day or two, if Sophie's in the office tomorrow, and just reach out to DEP and ask a little advice if they're watching it. At what point, I mean, they're before us for their ANRAD.
yes.
I think at some point we can just deny the ANRAD permit for lack of information. I mean, they can't just continually continue it forever.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good if you could do that and get, that'd be awesome. So Sophie, in terms of enforcements, moving on to the other ones in the enforcement violations, 40 Fire Road 12, I thought was another one that we were doing enforcement, doing fines on. Is that, is my memory correct, or?
Yes, that's right. I haven't gotten around to creating the letter and sending it to both of the applicants yet.
Okay, and when do you think you might be able to do that?
I hope to have that created hopefully Monday. And then I can put that into DocuSign on Monday.
Okay. Yeah, I think when we are talking about fines and reacting, I think those really should go to the top of the priority list. So if you would, yeah, move that one, Fire Road 12, 40 Firewood Road 12 to the top of the list, I would appreciate it. And then 390 Howard Street, close, very close second, right behind it. Okay.
And just to be clear about 390 Howard Street, I know it was discussed, the proposal for the $300 a day fining. Is that a enforcement order that you agreed upon, or a violation notice?
Violation notice. So
Okay.
the erosion controls are installed as instructed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and do we have updates on any of the other violation or enforcements?
No.
Okay. Thank you. And moving along, I did have a couple of so new business. I did have a couple of late break-in agenda items. So Bob Pease has requested that we vote to allow him to use the Mackey POs to make repairs to the bridge at the Largetown Forest and Valley Road. And basically the bridge has been moved off of its it's not a mooring, but moved off of its base. It needs to be dragged back onto its base. He needs to repair some timbers there. He needs to get material. He's going to chain it and stake it so that it doesn't move in future flooding conditions. And we do have the Mackey PO in place to help volunteers such as Bob to do that work. So do we have a motion to approve that, or do we have any questions or concerns?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would make that motion. The only caveat, and I'm not sure how it was set up under Bob, is that where Bob's not a member, that either the office or the chair is notified prior of an approximate amount before the PO is used by a townsperson.
That's fair. And Bob has been doing that of me. So
Yep, just a CYA.
yeah, very good.
So I'll make that motion that Bob Pease has access to it with prior authorization from chair or office.
Second.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Jenny, Mike. It's a roll call vote.
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Jenny,
Aye.
Rich,
Aye.
and I for myself. And then the second request that I had from Bob was to for you, the commission, to authorize me to send a request to the planning board requesting release of the 2024 GIS hours for updating trail maps. We had previously done a vote, but I've lost track of when it was. I thought it was in February or March, to approve that. We did contact the planning board at that time. They never initiated the grant. So the most expedient thing to do is just to revote on authorizing me to send that email back out to them to release those hours for updating trail maps. So I have a motion.
So moved.
Thank you.
Rich.
Second, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Roll call vote, Mike,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Jenny,
Aye.
Rich,
All right.
and I for myself. And then the third within 48 hours item is I had requested Sophie to give us an update on the backlog of decision documentation that the office has been working on, and I know it's had to slow down just because the office has been missing an assistant now for a little bit. But Sophie, can you give us an update on that?
Yeah, just briefly, I'm not sure if anybody got the chance to take a look at the shared Excel spreadsheet that I sent earlier.
You sent
But
an email?
that's correct. It was an email.
I did not.
A couple of links. Can anybody else confirm that they received
I
it?
looked at them. They look great. That's
Okay.
Yeah.
excellent job. Yeah.
All right, thanks. I got nervous that nobody got it. Oh, I can see somebody's in there right now, actually. Jenny?
That's me.
So overall, there's still a lot to get caught up on, but I've been really focusing on making sure that all the new and current projects that are coming in don't fall behind like the rest of them did. So I'm feeling pretty confident about that. And slowly but surely, we're really picking up momentum. And then, of course, life doesn't go always as we would like, but I think there's still a lot of progress that's been made since November of last year.
And so how many are in arrears, Sophie?
I'm sorry, how many
decisions do we have that have not been we haven't issued documents on?
Well, specifically just looking at the dated ones, I'm counting about a little less than 10, so probably 6 or 7. And then we have some more newer ones that are more recent as of looking at 4/18 to 8/21. About 4 more recent ones.
So then a total of 10.
Right. And then in the other link, there's another sheet that has various sheets within that, COCs, violations, determinations, administrative determination, and a few of the most recent field changes. Still working on updating that spreadsheet. But for the most part, the COCs are pretty accurate.
Okay, so you have the DOA, COCs, et cetera, in a separate file.
It was sent, yes, that's correct. It was sent in the same email. It's just a
Mhm.
different link.
Okay. And so then the 10 is just the OOCs that are in backlog?
That's right.
And then how many are in backlog for the DOAs and the COCs in that file?
COCs, I have roughly probably 5 to 7. DOAs, around 5.
And then seems like that file also says it contains change recs, administrative determinations. So are there other metrics associated with those or not?
So for the determination, again, it's not an entirely complete compilation of everything, but most of the recent ones that have been coming in on the online submissions, I can extract that data from OpenGov and put it in this sheet. And so for the most recent ones, I have 1, 2, 3, roughly 3 determinations that need issuing. I know there's, in fact, I know there's more that need to be issued. And then the field changes, I have 3 so far, just from the online submissions.
Okay. Okay, and did I hear that you and Brian had didn't have a chance to listen to the select board last night. You had proposed a hire?
That's correct. I'm very excited to have somebody.
And so I assume that was approved. When will they start?
Yeah, it was approved and they actually start tomorrow. Their hours are set at 10 to 3, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So reduced the hours due to the budget or lack of budget that we have down to 10. 5 of those hours will probably be solely allocated towards minute taking. That leaves 5 hours to do literally everything else.
Oh, okay. So they're no longer budgeting for Jane?
That's right.
Okay. Okay. All right. Any questions or comments about that? Thank you for that update, Sophie. Old business, I don't have an update on title searches. I have no updates on encroachment issues. Grants, the Conservation Commission sponsored grant was awarded in 2023 by Bob's actually been doing a lot of work with that, and Sophie, I think you've been supporting him with getting helping to get some of those POs actually generated so we can kick off our consultant work. So thank you for that as well. No update on the Snow Rider sponsored grant. We're just working to close that out right now. Mike, do we have any updates on the Hollis Road residents?
I called Chris Ruth. It sounds like he is back from paternity leave. And, but there's no new action on anything at 123 Hollis Road as of my call earlier today.
Very good. Committee reports, open space, did not meet in August. I think we're going to meet next week. Stormwater, any updates, Jenny?
No, stormwater did not meet in August either, so hopefully this month.
Okay, very good. Do we have any closing comments from members of the commission? I see no members of the public on. It is 8:27 and I am looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, I think we had Mike and Jenny on that. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely evening.
Thank
as
you.
well.
good night.
Take care.